At the premiere of the new series starring the award-winning actor, a reporter asked, "What made you unexpectedly take on this campus-themed script?" The actor said, "6 months ago, I stumbled upon a love letter she wrote to me. Funny thing is, I saw it 6 years too late." As soon as the interview video was out, everyone online was hoping for a reunion between the actor and her. 8 p.m. I just finished working late and was pretty hungry, so I sat down at a random food stall. At the table next to me, 2 girls were eating and chatting excitedly. "No way, my celebrity crush has someone he likes?" "Stay calm, didn't I tell you before?" Nick had a reason for taking on that campus drama. Maybe he can't get over his first love. My ears perked up when I heard Nick also caught them saying Nick has a crush, and it's his first love. I wondered what kind of person could stick in his mind for 6 years. I kept eating my noodles, listening to their wild guesses. Honestly, I'm curious too, about what kind of person Nick likes. I figure she's probably someone pure and innocent, like a fairy tale girl. I glanced at myself, feeling a bit bummed. Just a working gal, eating at a street food stall, and my morning makeup ruined by overtime. Even I don't like myself sometimes. Like the internet says, how could the working class me ever match with someone as dazzling as him? I suddenly remembered a love letter I wrote in high school, couldn't help but chuckle. I wrestled with it for a week and never sent it. Instead, I slipped it into the graduation gift for him. That love letter hidden in a book of poems. Maybe it never saw daylight. Or maybe Nick already saw it, and his silence was a gentle rejection. Back home, I did my usual nighttime search for Nick on social media. A trending video popped up. I clicked on it. It was Nick's interview at the premiere of his new series. A brave reporter asked, "What made you unexpectedly take on this campus-themed script?" That question was what most of Nick's fans wanted to know. He's a top actor now, he didn't need to star in a rather ordinary campus drama. And to fans, campus dramas are for new and rising stars. To them, doing this is like lowering his status. Nick said, "6 months ago, I stumbled upon a love letter she wrote to me. Funny thing is, I saw it 6 years too late." Once the video hit the internet, it quickly trended. Everyone was hoping for a reunion between the star and her. Naturally, some die-hard fans disagreed. Finding the letter 6 years late shows the girl never intended to send it. How could such a shy girl be a match for Nick? Exactly, if she confessed back then, they might already have kids now. Better not meet up again, it might turn awkward. When you put it that way, between Nick's her and the series lead, Christina, I'd prefer Christina. She's the series lead in this campus drama. In today's short video era, Nick and Christina's leaked videos quickly trended on platforms. Netizens couldn't help but ship them. But no one expected Nick to openly break this pairing at the series launch, saying he took the role for his childhood crush. At the end of the interview, a reporter asked, "The series is about a guy who regrets not confessing to a girl in high school, and goes back in time to make it right. If time could turn back, what would you most want to do?" Nick answered sincerely, "I would definitely tell her, I like you." Yet reality isn't a novel. There's no turning back time and no way to fix regrets. Nick's words stirred up a major buzz online. Fans split into 2 extremes, arguing fiercely on social media. The getting back together supporters prevailed in the end. Most fans supported Nick searching for her, thinking it's not too late to rekindle their old flame. For the first time, Nick addressed his feelings on social media. "Nick, this letter reached me 6 years later. Perhaps it means we're just not meant to be." A comment there got pinned to the top. Even though it took 6 years to see the letter, isn't that fate too? True, seeing it 6 years later and doing a series about it seems serendipitous. Fate can be quite magical sometimes. Too bad, that's Nick's fate with someone else. As for my story with him, it ended back in the year we graduated high school. Back in sophomore year. A very bright but financially struggling student transferred to our school. The class described him like this. A gambler dad, a runaway mom, aged grandma, and a broken him. It seemed like he had tasted every bit of misfortune. He was transferred into my class, junior year class 1. When the teacher asked him to introduce himself, he just looked calm and simply said, "I'm Nick." The first time I saw his face, I had a gut feeling he'd do something great one day. The teacher sat him next to me. Almost the entire class, I was observing the boy next to me. Couldn't help but think, beauty truly is the most persuasive weapon in this world. Life's troubles hadn't left a trace on his face. After class, driven by curiosity, I asked, "Why come to our school?" Nick glanced at me indifferently. That look seemed to say, "Mind your own business." Then he picked up his battered water bottle and left the room. The girl in front of me turned around after he left and said, "Why bother talking to him? Didn't you notice how everyone avoids him? I heard he was responsible for his sister's death." I frowned without making it noticeable. "Don't talk recklessly. You've got no proof. How can you believe something that's just hearsay?" The person in front was a bit annoyed at my rebuttal. "That's what everyone's saying. Just stay away from him to avoid any bad luck." Nick walked in through the front door right then. I wasn't sure how much he heard, but I whispered to him, "I believe you, Nick. I mean, he doesn't look like someone who would do something like that to his sister." Still, Nick didn't show any warmth toward me. He kept that usual indifferent expression all through high school. If you ask why I kept pestering, caring about him, it would have to be because of his looks that caught my eye. There was a placement exam in senior year. I got lucky and scored well, ending up in the same class as Nick. My English was the best in my grade, and the English teacher was our homeroom teacher. Naturally, I became the class rep, always getting called to help grade papers. One time, I overheard the teachers talking about Nick when I was delivering homework to the office. I don't know what Nick's dad is thinking, wanting him to drop out. Such a good kid shouldn't be wasted. He gets everything free here and even has a scholarship. Why would his dad want him to quit? After that conversation, Nick didn't show up for school for days. Nick was really poor, so poor he didn't even have a phone. Even after being his desk partner for a year, he never told me where he lived. One weekend evening, I was taking a stroll by the seaside with my best friend. I unexpectedly saw Nick. He was walking alone towards the sea. I ran over, grabbed his hand, and asked, "Are you crazy?" Nick looked at me quietly and said, "Let go." No way I was letting go. "I won't." Nick watched me for a few seconds before he sighed. "I wasn't trying to drown, just let go." I still wouldn't, and I told him, "Nick, there are people in this world who want you to live well, don't get any bad ideas." Nick gave a mocking smile. "Like who?" I looked into his eyes. "Like me. I want you to live a good life." After that, Nick seemed to get a bit closer to me. He'd bring me a cup of water when he took a break. He'd patiently explain things to me that I didn't understand. Gradually, I noticed him becoming a bit more open. He wasn't so isolated anymore and would even smile at classmates, though a bit awkwardly. This was obviously a good thing, but I felt a bit down. I didn't want to see him get too close with other classmates. I wanted to be the only one near him. I didn't really get why. Not until a few days before finals, Nick suddenly asked me what college I planned to attend. The class started teasing. They asked what Nick meant, if he liked me. Classmates pressed Nick for an answer. At that moment, my heart told me I wanted to know the answer too. I think I might have fallen for Nick. But Nick stayed silent under everyone's eyes and didn't say anything in the end. I was slightly disappointed. I kept asking if he wanted to go to the same college as me. Nick kept quiet like a mute. After finals, I wrote a love letter and slipped it into a graduation gift for Nick. The gift was a book called Stray Birds. I'd seen him write that one line, "The darkness of night is a pocket filled with the golden light of dawn." He'd surely opened this book since I gave it to him and see my letter. The letter included my name and number. If he liked me back, he'd know how to reach me. But in the 6 years that followed, I never changed my number, and I never got a call from him. Lucy, tomorrow's wedding shoot for our client, you're on it, my boss said. When the boss speaks, you don't say no. So the next day, I headed out to a resort in the suburbs. Once I got there, I looked at the setup and couldn't help but think, rich people have it nice. Even their receptions are outdoors. A big star, it must have been hard to get you here. No matter how busy, I wouldn't miss your wedding. I paused while fussing with my camera. That voice, I can't count how many times I've heard it on the phone. I straightened up, turned around, and saw Nick in the crowd. Life has a way of playing jokes on you. Just when you think everything's behind you, it pops back up unexpectedly. Photographer, everyone's here, we can begin. The groom called over to me, signaling his friends to the decorated backdrop area. I pulled my gaze back from Nick, adjusted my camera, and glanced ahead. I meant to check their positioning. But my eyes somehow always found Nick in a crowd. As I looked at him, he glanced at me too. I hurriedly looked away, took a deep breath, and quickly snapped a few photos. I couldn't leave after that. The contract said I had to stay until the wedding ended. I and a coworker carried our cameras as we followed the bride and groom around. My colleague, a big fan, said excitedly, "That's really Nick, do you think I can get his autograph later?" I nodded absent-mindedly, "It's Nick, go ahead and ask him." Here comes Nick. Check if my makeup's okay, and help me get my notebook from my bag. I'm gonna ask him for an autograph. I was balancing the camera, freeing one hand to grab the notebook from her bag. That's when I felt something was off. I turned slightly and saw Nick just 5 steps away from me. "Lucy." I froze, looking dazed as Nick got closer until he was right in front of me. Nick smiled gently, "Long time no see." I nodded at him, "Long time no see." Nick looked just the same as I remembered. No matter how many years have passed, he'll always be that boy in my heart. My coworker was surprised when she saw how familiar I was with Nick. She said, "Lucy, you and Nick seem pretty close. How come I never heard about it?" I just smiled lightly and said, "We were just high school classmates, not as close as you might think." I was trying to downplay it, not wanting anyone to make a big deal about us. Nick caught on. "Got some free time tonight? I'd like to treat you to dinner," he asked. I shook my head. "I really can't today, I'm the photographer for the wedding, following the bride and groom all the way through. Probably won't be done until 8 or 9 tonight." "What about tomorrow then?" Nick asked again. I stayed silent. I figured I shouldn't accept his invitation. Because he already liked someone who might still be waiting for him. After all, he went through the effort of filming a campus drama to make up for missed chances 6 years later. That alone shows how important that girl on his social media is to him. But I've liked him for 6 years too. Even if he silently turned me down, even if he never saw that love letter. I felt I owed it to these past 6 years of mine to give it a shot. Tomorrow's good. Want to trade contact info? I'll send you the address tomorrow. Sure. Nick was busy. He just showed up briefly at the wedding before rushing off. Once I finally got home after work, I had the time to check the contact info he'd sent me. Nick's profile pic was dark. His status was the same phrase he loved back then. It hasn't changed over the years. His latest social media update was around 5 in the afternoon. He must have just left the wedding not long before. Nick saw her. So, that's why he rushed off, to see that girl from the love letter. I'm really curious about what's so special about her. Playing the role of an old classmate well, I commented, with a hint of bitterness, "Congrats." Nick didn't reply. I wanted to see what else he had posted, but his feed only showed that one post. It's been blank for the last 6 years. Maybe it's just his work account. I might not even qualify to add his personal one. The next day was a work day. I dragged myself out of bed to work a half day, planning to take the afternoon off for Nick's meeting. Around 2 p.m., Nick sent me the address. It was a fancy restaurant, the kind that costs half a month's salary for one meal. Nick was constantly reminding me of the gap between us. Back in high school, I could approach him with no fear. I used to be curious why characters in novels wouldn't just speak up, why let things pass by. But facing this myself, I realized it's not so easy to speak up. When I arrived at the restaurant, Nick was already there. He'd thoughtfully ordered the food. "Noticed you post about this restaurant in your feed, seems like you really like it," he said. "I do, but I think I only posted once." "Thanks." I sat awkwardly across from Nick. He said with a gentle smile, "I remember you being pretty lively back in high school. Remember? When I transferred over, you were the first to talk to me. Turns out reminiscing is the best way to break the ice." Nick's words took me back to high school. I loosened up and began to chat freely with him. "Of course, I remember. I asked why you transferred, but you ignored me. I was curious, everyone's saying I'm a murderer, why do you trust me? I barely knew you." Short and sweet, I replied, "Your face was very convincing." As Nick and I reminisced, the meal turned out to be very pleasant. My 6 years of affection concluded with a meal with the one I liked. Even if the ending didn't quite match the beginning of our story. When it was time to leave, Nick offered to take me home. I turned him down but couldn't refuse his insistence. On the curb, I scrolled through social media while waiting for his car. Surprise! The girl from the love letter found. It was trending. I didn't get a chance to read more before Nick's car pulled up. I put my phone away, opened the back door ready to hop in. Nick said, "Sit in the front." I hesitated. He joked, "Having me drive you is pricey, you know." So, I ended up in the passenger seat. The car was uncomfortably quiet. It felt like we were back to being awkward strangers, as if the time in the restaurant was just an illusion. The ride wasn't long, my place was close by. In 10 minutes, we arrived. "Thanks for the ride, bye," I said, looking at Nick. As I opened the door to step out, Nick called, "Lucy." My hand paused. I sat back and looked at him, puzzled. "Heard you got married?" Nick asked. "Yeah, I did." I said it and then got out of the car. I walked towards my home, away from the space filled with Nick. Nick found his love letter girl. Maybe they will reconnect and continue their story. "Lucy, it's time to stop hoping for something more. This is just fine," I told myself. Not long after I got home, social media alerts me, Nick posted something new on his feed. I clicked in to see. "Nick, I won, but the prize expired. She's married now." The comments underneath were a mix of sighs and pity. "That's too bad. Bro, if you really like her, you should go after her. Who cares if she's been married before? What are you talking about? Why should he go for a woman who's already been married? Right, can't just push him to be a homewrecker or something." I don't agree. Not being loved makes you the outsider. If they love each other, why not be together? Fans these days just don't get it. It's a moral issue. Mutual feelings or not. I was a bit stunned. What a coincidence. Nick's girl got married too. But I didn't feel all that sorry, instead, there was a tiny sense of relief. I never saw myself as a toxic fan of Nick's, but now I realize, I am. Can't stand the thought of him having a girlfriend. A few days later. I didn't run into Nick. It felt like we were from two different worlds. If it weren't for seeing his black profile picture in my contacts, I'd think everything that happened was just a dream. Work kept me busy enough that I barely had time to think about him. Plus, Nick wasn't posting anything new on social media, making it hard to find any updates about him. I saw Nick again at a high school alumni reunion. Back then, classmates used to avoid him like the plague, but now they were all smiling, chatting around him. People change. Lucy showed up. The class president spotted me quickly. I nodded to say hi. "Lucy, didn't you skip these reunions?" What brings you here this time? Hoping to see Nick? He asked. Did you two keep in touch? You were close in high school, right? I told the truth, ran into him at a wedding recently. My classmate was surprised. You're married? No way. When did that happen? I always thought you and Nick had a thing. I smiled bitterly, that's ancient history. Finally, when the spotlight moved off me, I took a breath and quietly ate. Some of the girls who used to dislike Nick couldn't stop buzzing around him. I watched quietly. Nick's a celebrity now, he has to mind his image. Nick, one girl said. I think her name is Candy. Back in the day, she was the one who spread rumors about Nick the most. She mumbled, actually, that love letter was from me. The room erupted in laughter. Candy, you write love letters now? Didn't you dislike Nick? Pretending to hate him while secretly crushing on him? Nick's expression darkened. Candy, do you think I'm stupid? Busy as I am, I'm not brainless. I remember what you did. Candy didn't look the slightest bit ashamed. 6 years later, and you think getting back with her is possible? Seriously? She glanced my way a couple of times, like she was targeting me with her words. 6 years gone by and still hoping for something with Nick? It seemed laughable. Nick looked at her coldly, his voice firm. So what if it's been 6 years? Or if she's married? I don't mind being a second husband. It looked like Nick really liked the girl who wrote the love letter, liked her enough to wait for her to get divorced. After the reunion, Nick offered to drive me home. In the parking garage, as he gripped the steering wheel, he suddenly looked at me. Lucy. I turned my head. Yeah? The silence in the car made our breathing seem loud. Nick spoke seriously, what I said earlier, I meant it. I chuckled, I know. Of course, I knew he was being real. Over all those years, he kept his promises except for that one about going to college together. But all the little things, he followed through. If you get divorced, would you consider me? Nick asked. I stared at him dumbfounded, repeating his words over and over in my mind, afraid I misunderstood. Even if everything hinted at him wanting a second chance with me, I doubted myself. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I asked. He nodded. I saw that anthology, and I like you too. Sorry that this confession comes 6 years late. You're married now, maybe I shouldn't say this much, but... He sighed, as if making a huge decision. I'll wait for you to get divorced. He really believed my unintentional lie. I considered confessing that I wasn't married. But what would that change? He's a big star, and I'm just average. The gap between us is too wide, making me insecure. I couldn't bring myself to say I like you back in high school, just like I couldn't reveal the truth now. Nick, it's all in the past. Life isn't a novel with time travel twists. You never said you liked me, I replied before leaving the car. Nick didn't stop me. I guess, from now on, we really are from two different worlds. He'll take his bright path while I continue down my own. Every now and then, I'd see Nick up on billboards. After long workdays, I'd sit by the river and watch those screens for a while. Maybe it's because I'm still not over him. After all, he made a movie inspired by my love letter. How romantic is that? Even when he was struggling, I saw his glow. Now he's truly in the spotlight, how can I forget? Maybe fate doesn't want us to drift apart completely. During a work trip, I saw him again. Nick had an upcoming variety show, and his agent hired a director to shoot a teaser. For some reason, they chose me. My head spun when my boss assigned me the project. Sitting in a car with Nick, heading towards our old high school neighborhood, things started to feel real. Holding the camera, I asked questions prepared by his agent. Why return here for the teaser? In the lens, Nick seemed to remember something. Back then, I thought I was the unluckiest person alive. But here, I met the light of my life. The car stopped outside a familiar old building. Despite the years, nothing changed. With camera in hand, I followed Nick. He pulled out an old key to unlock his old wooden door. A faint musty smell greeted us. 5. Nick pointed at the pile of books on the desk, talking to himself. That's where I found that love letter 6 months back. I sat here all night that day, thinking countless times about what I'd do if I could really go back. What I said in the interview was just to fool you guys. If she stood in front of me again, asking if I'd go to the same college with her, I'd still be silent. I have no right to call her a coward. The real coward was me. Nick spoke a lot, his words filled with regret. But he also said that even if I asked him again, he'd still be silent. This is a puzzle with no solution. Nick pushed open the window by the desk, and the sunlight streamed in through the leaves. He suddenly turned back, gazing deeply at the camera. Actually, I want to ask the owner of this book of poetry why she lied about getting married. Did you know, Mr. Photographer? I looked away from the camera at Nick. Time has been kind to him. He looks almost the same as the teenager I remember. He found out I'd lied to him and still asked me why. How do I explain? Do I say that my thoughts back then were just like his? Both of us thought the other could find something better. The filming hadn't been paused yet. I smiled and answered him, maybe she hoped you'd find something better. Nick quickly said, but the only one I want is her. No matter how good others are, they're not her. He walked straight up to me, shutting the wooden door to isolate us from the 2 crew members outside. Now it was just him and me in the room. Lucy, can we give each other a chance? You once took 99 steps towards me. Even if this last step crosses seas and mountains, I'll run to you. His words felt nothing short of a confession. The person I've longed for over 6 years was now in front of me. He was telling me he would surely choose me. Maybe it's time to answer the feelings I had 6 years ago. The worst outcome is a breakup. I can handle it, we once had something. Okay. But let's be clear, if it doesn't work out, we part ways immediately. Nick stepped forward, gently placing his hand over my mouth. No breakups, only till death do us part. I'll only ever love you. 6 years is a long time. Nick wasn't like this before, a few words would never make my heart race. In high school, I usually did most of the talking, and he was the listener. Now the roles have reversed. The rest of the filming went smoothly. The dynamic between Nick and me had totally shifted. Being in the same space together, I felt like the air was tinged with sweetness. Nick's manager, Calvin, has been with him for 6 years. He naturally noticed any changes in Nick. Back at the studio, Calvin watched the edited footage and asked, "You two done sulking?" Nick replied with a hint of embarrassment, "Bro, sorry for the trouble these days." Calvin chuckled dryly, "Glad you know it. But it seems like you guys still have some unsaid words." Calvin suddenly turned to me, saying, "I want to have a word with you." Nick voluntarily left, giving us the space to talk. Calvin said he first met Nick at a cafe. Nick was working there. From the first look, Calvin thought Nick had the chops to act. Calvin followed him for 2 days and found that Nick worked at the cafe during the day, living off just a couple of buns. At night, he tended bars, clocking out at 3 or 4 in the morning. Then he'd hop on his scooter to make food deliveries. Did he rest at all? He did, just slumped over on his electric scooter between orders. I watched him for days, he kept at it till he finally collapsed. When he woke up, he asked me how much the hospital expenses were so he could pay me back. Calvin chuckled softly at the memory. He was struggling so hard, I couldn't bring myself to take his money. Later, when I got to know him, I found out he was a top scorer on his college entrance exam, but didn't go to college. His family couldn't afford it. His grandma was hospitalized, needing money, and his dad was gambling, with creditors at the door. Life was tough, yet he still persevered. When times were tough, I spent 3 days drinking with a director just to get him a supporting role. Many times I wanted to give up, but then I thought about this kid I signed. Who was I to say give up? Calvin asked me, did you know? Once, during a drink at the city's coast, I asked him why he insisted on pushing through. Nick said it was because someone wanted him to go on. I later found a photograph in his wallet, cut from a graduation picture, creased edges. He missed you for 6 years. I opened the door. Nick was waiting outside. What's with the tears all of a sudden? He wiped the tears off my cheek. I opened my mouth to speak, my voice choked with tears. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you. Nick paused for a second, realizing, you found out everything? Then he playfully smiled, I couldn't bear to. It's all in the past now, don't cry. He hugged me, kissing my forehead. Yeah, he couldn't bear it. Even if I was the one to suffer, I'd probably do the same. If one person has a bright future, how could the other drag them into darkness? While Nick drove me home, I suddenly asked, why didn't you call sooner? Nick answered, I was scared. Afraid of hearing, who's this? Afraid you'd say, long time no see, after hearing my name, afraid to hear you're really married. I laughed a bit, well, you got lucky. My folks have been pushing me to marry these past few years, had a few matchmaking dates. Waited a few more months and I might have been married. Nick confidently replied, I knew you wouldn't. This account, it's you, right? I found it a few days ago, you've always been there. I owe you so much, too much to repay. I playfully said, better make it up with a lifetime then. Nick responded, I'd love to. Weekend. Nick has a variety show starting. The theme this time is youth. Nick even went back to his high school to shoot a short film for it. I got tickets to the taping and planned to surprise him. The host on stage introduced the guests one by one. Since Nick and Christina are the leads in the new drama, they naturally stood at the center of the stage. The host joked, we've all seen Nick in the trending searches lately. Christina, what do you think about that? Christina picked up the mic, gave a graceful smile, and said, Nick and I get along quite well off camera. I knew about this situation early on. I wish he'd find that love letter girl soon. Now, let's watch Nick's short film. On the big screen, Nick was answering my questions. The camera shifted to our high school. Nick pointed to a bulletin board, her picture used to be posted here all the time, as was mine. He walked to the second floor of a classroom building, pushed open the door, and sat in his old seat. I taught her math here. She was really clueless. Then the scene switched to an abandoned building. Panting, Nick climbed the stairs. This is where I lived for over 10 years. He pulled out a key to unlock a door. This is where I found the love letter. Everyone called her a coward, but wasn't I the same? She was truly amazing, and I was not back then. The short film ended with a surprise scene. The blurred background featured a photo Nick recently dragged me to take at our high school, just the two of us. Nick was holding my hand, running across the grass. The subtitles read, L, I like you. Sorry, these words are 6 years late. After the film, fans in the audience let out screams. So romantic. I must have a love like this in my life. Oh my God, was that a confession? I can't even imagine how happy I'd be if I were that girl. My eyes were already welling up. I'd seen the short film many times, but that last part was new. When did Nick get so romantic? Our eyes met, and Nick seemed surprised, then smiled. The girl next to me was beyond excited. Oh my gosh, is Nick smiling at me? During intermission, my phone suddenly lit up. I thought you weren't coming. I replied, watching this on my phone would have been a huge regret. After the show aired online, Nick's last, I like you, caused a stir. Users love analyzing videos with a microscope. A mere 2-minute clip was dissected thoroughly. Even blurry screenshots of me appeared online. A photographer I worked with commented, this looks like you company's photographer. That comment shot to the top. Fans asked for my name, but she didn't respond. The next day at work, a coworker asked, are you the L? I didn't admit it, just said, guess. After work, I went home to find Nick in the kitchen. "No events today?" I asked, surprised. Nick brought over a steaming bowl of noodles, taking a few days off. "Money isn't everything. Sometimes I need to spend time with you." I took a big bite. "Won't Calvin be mad?" Nick gently wiped my mouth. "He won't mind. Eat slowly, I can make more if needed." After dinner, I got ready for bed and checked social media. In just one day, the buzz had grown tremendously. Not because of Nick's love life, but about his dad hitting the headlines. Actor Nick accused of abandoning his own father was trending. In a video, Nick's dad, holding an ID card, claimed, "My son Nick, yes, the award-winning actor, made so much money but doesn't support his father, letting him starve." But it didn't stop there. A self-proclaimed high school classmate said, "People from school used to say Nick caused his sister's death." With his dad speaking out, it must be true, right? Comments rolled in. No wonder Nick dodges questions about his past. He had such a big scandal. Let's get a guide to ban Nick. That's what bad celebrities deserve. I believe Nick wouldn't do that. At least give him a chance to explain. Are you out of your mind, blindly idolizing him? His own dad called him out. Still, need an explanation? Exactly, even his schoolmates spoke up. Can this be defended? Are you a washing machine? I turned to look at Nick beside me, ready to ask if he was okay. He looked cold, unsurprisingly. He'd refused to give his dad money just recently. I stayed silent, holding his hand tightly under the blanket. But I wondered, am I really his biological child? Nick, for once, had tears in his eyes. I knew he felt wronged. "Nick, it's okay. He doesn't love you, but I do. Plus, your fans love you too." After Nick fell asleep, I posted a long article on my main social media account. Most people were starting to believe in Nick, but because of my username, opinions flipped again. Evening of dawn, don't you get it, guys? It's the real girlfriend stepping in. So touching, standing up against all the rumors. Unbelievable, getting hate and not breaking up. True love here. I argued with online trolls all night, finally sleeping as dawn broke. When I woke up, Nick was still casually making lunch. It's like the emperor isn't in a rush, but the eunuch is. Why don't you seem worried at all? If you don't handle this, you might lose your job. Nick slowly sprinkled some sesame seeds on the freshly made sweet and sour ribs. Losing it means more time with you, isn't that a win? I asked sincerely, you want me to support you on a monthly salary of $8 grand? Are you kidding? I can't even support myself. My expression made Nick laugh. Don't worry, it'll be sorted out. I've anticipated this day for a while now. So, what were you up to while I was asleep this time? I felt a bit guilty. Ever since Nick and I got together, he hasn't let me stay up late. I picked up a rib to change the subject. This tastes amazing. Can you make it for me every day? Nick sighed, as if resigned. He smiled and said, of course. Nick's word to sort things out comes with impressive efficiency. He went to the police department to look up his mom's old divorce case. Meanwhile, I was up late digging through our high school forum. I remembered someone had uploaded a video when Nick's dad caused a scene at school. I found that video. I edited what I heard back in high school and posted it on social media. Included were Nick's grades from sophomore to junior year. What kind of father makes a kid drop out for work with such good grades? Even though Nick took the college entrance exam, he never went to college. Nick moved fast too. His studio quickly released a statement, along with evidence of money transfers to his dad over the years. Claims that he killed his sister were totally false. The truth was that his dad accidentally pushed his sister down the stairs while drunk. Nick arrived home after evening classes to find her at the foot of the stairs, already gone. To the neighbors, though, it looked like Nick was crying over her body. Rumors spread until it was widely believed Nick caused his sister's death. People can be cruel. Nick tried explaining at first. Over time, he stopped trying, because one mouth can't fight 10 others. After everything was cleared up, I went with Nick to visit his dad at the station. Nick stared at his father in jail and asked, "Sometimes I doubt if I'm really your son. Did you know how much I envied kids with dads growing up?" Inside, his father, unshaven and filled with regret, cried multiple apologies. Unwilling to watch, Nick closed his eyes, reopened them, and said, "I won't forgive you." 6 months later, Nick announced our relationship on social media. I was still working at my old job, and all the extra work nearly killed me. Many fans wanted photos just to see Nick. My boss was thrilled, while I was exhausted. Most of Nick's fans were sweethearts, and all of them were stunning women. I quietly ate my noodles, listening to two girls make wild guesses. After doing their shoot, I'd give them autographed photos of Nick as a freebie. Bookings poured in, scheduled out until next year. I got so busy, I barely had time to date Nick. He dramatically ranted on social media. "Nick, can someone let my wife take 2 days off so we can date?" Top fan comment, "Your wife prefers looking at beauties over you." That night, Nick snuggled his head into my neck, whispering, "Babe, you see what they said?" I was exhausted from our activities and, half asleep, just mumbled, then knocked out. After all, there's a line of gorgeous ladies waiting for me to shoot tomorrow.